I'm here for my Psych Unit class 101, just to give you some ideas as to what actually happens in the Psych Unit when you yourself check yourself in, because I was cool like that. I totally checked myself into the Psych Unit. So this was like, oh, well, my first trip, anyways. There's been a few. So there I was. I was in a rough relationship to begin with, but it had been so long since I had slept. Like, by so long, I mean like probably like 3 weeks. I would get like 2 hours of sleep, maybe here and there, and that would be about it. Well, he was at work, and I had literally at this point really had not even left the house in like 2 months. I was so fantastic at orchestrating things so that I didn't have to leave the house. Agoraphobia, wonderful thing. Um, sorry, nope, don't worry about me. I don't have a nervous tick about playing with my hair when I'm on social media. So, anyways, I'm sitting there, and the other problem that I was really struggling with is that I couldn't stop itching. And so I was constantly scratching my skin. But the biggest problem that I was facing as I was sitting there alone in my house with my dog was I was hearing voices. And I was losing my crap. Um, so finally I broke down and I called the hospital and I said, "What should I do?" And they were not exactly super helpful about this. I talked to a psych nurse and she's like, "Well, it's really up to you." And I think I'm hearing voices, so I think I should probably come in. So, you want to talk about feeling like an idiot? I get to the hospital, I get to the ER because that's where you have to go, and I walk up to the registration counter, and the lovely lady looks up at me, she's sitting lower than me, and she goes, "How can I help you?" And I say, "I'm losing my shit. I think I'm hearing voices." She says, "Okay, let me get your date of birth and your name, and we'll get you a bracelet and get you weighed, and we'll get you in right away." And is this like a normal thing? Do people just walk in here and they're like, "I'm hearing voices"? Because she didn't react at all. I would have expected something. No, no, not at all. So I went in, I got my original checkout. And this, of course, was in the newer portion of the hospital. I was in Luther Mayo in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And again, um, I will tell you at some point in time about my horrible treatment at another hospital in Wisconsin, but Luther Mayo was amazing. So I'm in the newer portion of the hospital, and everything is up to date, up to code. Um, the, the ER docs, I really never have had any issues with them. But I was constantly in tachycardia, so of course they wanted to run an EKG, make sure that was okay. And of course, their first line is they want to go through all of your physical symptoms and make sure that you're okay, and that this isn't a physical thing causing a mental disorder. But to be on the safe side, they put you in a psych room, which means that you have a camera on you. Your television is behind plastic, and it's not overly safety wise, but it's an observation room so that you're safe and they're safe. Um, so I was checked out by a social worker, a physician, and eventually it was determined that yes, I needed to go ahead and be put into the psych ward. And so we did the whole strip down. The nurse was, of course, kind enough when I got down to me skivvies to let me get rid of that myself. But no bra because it had an underwire in it and can't have that in the psych ward or the psych unit. So no bra for me. So I got the super cool gown and some awesome sweatpants. And we had to wait till my bed opened up, which didn't really make a lot of sense because once I got up there, actually there was two beds open, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, so they put me in a wheelchair probably about 4 hours into my stay in the ER, and they wheeled me through all the back hallways and this and that. And if you've ever been to Luther Hospital in Eau Claire, you know what I mean. The nurses and security, because they have to take security with you in these types of situations, and it's just amazing how they can get through this maze of craziness. But we get to that to the floor, to the psych unit floor, and I have to go through the metal detector. And I had had a hip replacement done a few years earlier. And what's funny is that the airport, it doesn't go off, but at Luther Hospital, it will go off. So it went off, so I got wanded, and I was lucky enough. Um, the doctor, Dr. Hare, was my orthopedic surgeon also at Luther Hospital, so my records were right there. And if they wanted to, they could certainly see the scar from my hip replacement as well. But it was a bittersweet moment. It was great to know that they had metal detectors because I didn't want people carrying things into that unit. But at the same point, I was like, where am I going? My brain was starting to really freak out a little bit. Uh, I, my panic attack was starting to kick in. So we got in, and then I had to sit and wait for registration, and I went through that with a nurse. And my brain's really kicking in now. This is a mistake. They locked that door behind me. I can't get out of here. Um, but there was nothing that I could do. So eventually, another physician that night came up and checked me out. And by this point, it was about 11:30 or so. They finally had me to my room. And in my room, there was two beds. Um, and it was a lot like what you see on TV. You kind of feel like you're in jail, and not to say that jail is um, easier or harder than the psych unit, but they're a lot of the same. Um, if they wanted to keep me, they certainly could find a reason to do so and get a court order. Um, there are people that go through that, um, and they spend the rest of their lives that way. Um, I can't get out that door. They say you can walk out the door if you want to, but you can't walk out the door. It's not. It's not optional. It's the only way you get out that door is if somebody unlocks it for you, and it's like a foot thick door. So you're kind of screwed. You're in. That's it. So I get into my room, and I'm just trying to take in what's going on. Here I am. I'm in my 30s, and this is what's happening in my life. This is what it's all come down to. I'm sitting on a mattress that's about an inch thick, and it creaks every time I move because it's plastic. My clock is behind metal bars. There's bulletproof glass or bulletproof plastic windows with scratches on them. I mean, can you imagine how badly you wanted to get out of this place to try and scratch your way out of it? The walls were white. The surface was just flat. I know because I had to touch it because I needed to feel something. You get your one blanket and your one pillow, and that's got to be enough. The bathroom is still a 70s color green, and you have kind of a half dresser, and that is what you get. So, lights out. that was it. That was my first night. I just kind of laid there wondering what on earth I did, how I was going to get out. The next morning I woke up, my CNA had come into my room, and I must have passed out at somewhere between 3 and 4. I guess that's what the staff had noticed. And because they do hourly checks on you. And when he came into the room, I tried really hard to just ignore him and pretend like he wasn't there, because I thought that maybe if I just kept pretending like I was sleeping, that he was just going to go away. But he was very persistent and he needed to take my vitals, so I did. I sat up. And I realized, congratulations to me, I'm not wearing a bra, and this is a man. CNA, this is great. This is doing really well. So, sat up, he took my vitals, and then he actually brought my breakfast to me. And so I was like, okay. And I could smell it. It was pancakes, and pancakes don't sound too bad. So I ate, and it was really good. And he told me, hey, I'm going to be back in about 45 minutes. I'll see you in a little bit. So here I am thinking he's coming back to count the silverware to make sure I didn't hold on to a fork, right? And he comes back and he pulls up a chair and we talk. He tells me about his life and how he was in school for 1 degree and he was changing over into psychiatry because after working on the psych unit, although it's a hard job, it was really important to him. This was really where he needed to be at. And so he asked me what it was that brought me in. And I told him about the voices, the itching, the not sleeping. And he looks at me and he goes, I've noticed something in the past 20 minutes that we've been talking. So what's that? And he said, you haven't been itching. He's like, you got some sleep. He's like, I bet you it helped calm your nerves. And that was how my day went. I would get a new nurse or CNA. Um, I had to go see my social worker. I had to see the psychiatrist. But each individual person at the Mayo Clinic, they made it a point to talk to me, to have me tell them my story. And it was annoying. So annoying to have to keep going over and over and over again, everything. But it helped because there were so many different perspectives. And that was the start to my psych unit stays. And I will tell you a little bit more a little bit later. Bye.